Today on the Diz List, we count down the top character meals at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we talk about character meals. I'm so used to saying character breakfast.
Yeah.
We had to redo the intro because I said character breakfast and went, no, it's not just breakfast. We're going to talk more about that. And I've done the breakfast, but they're meals. It can
Yes.
happen really any time of the day.
Yes, I mean, I've had a character dinner. I've had a character lunch-ish. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But
Brunch.
yeah, I've definitely had the brunch, but I've had a lunch. You'll get what I mean when I say lunch-ish.
Sure.
There's a lot of really good character meals, and I think sometimes people assume that they're just for the littles. You know what I mean? And I think that if you are doing a big trip, like I did my one and done,
Once in a lifetime
yeah,
Nick trip.
yeah, to be honest though, there are people who do a one and done. They're overseas, whatever the case may be. They're traveling a long way.
Well, money's a big one too.
Well,
it's just getting more and more expensive, so I don't blame people for that.
And I would say if you're going to, there are some you have to do if you're going to do a one and done. And we're gonna go through.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it a little different today.
yeah, it's gonna be a little different because when Nick and I discussed this the other day, my response back, so Nick sends me a text, and it's kind of what we do during the week. We discuss what our episodes are going to be, and he says, "How about character breakfast?" I say, "Great, sounds good," but I need to be honest with our listeners, our viewers, because I've only really done 1.5.
Right.
But I like this topic. I think it's a good topic. I really enjoy them because I just enjoy interacting with characters in general. But my kids, they don't necessarily love it.
Right.
So we haven't done a ton of it. I really enjoy it. So I said to Nick, look, I got 1.5 I can talk about, and you've done most.
I've done a lot of them.
You've done a lot of them. So this is going to be a lot of your opinions on these, and probably I'll have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
We'll do a handful of them, and then we'll do the halftime celebration, and then and we'll
celebration.
I have football on my mind a little bit. It's big week for the Buffalo Bills.
Go Bills.
Well, by the time people are listening, we'll know what happened with the Chiefs.
Whether we won the regular season Super Bowl or not.
Yeah. Well, there could be 2 regular season Super Bowls. Those Lions look good too.
Yeah.
All right. Enough football. Gotta keep it under 30 seconds.
This might be a little bit of a lengthier discussion because there are a lot of these, and I'm not doing a top 5. I'm just kind of going through and talking about them, and I do have them ranked, so we can do that. But I do want to just jump right in, if that's okay with you.
So is this like a number 7, a number 8, or?
Yeah, I'll start.
You can number them.
I'll start by saying a couple of the things that I excluded from my list and why I excluded them.
Okay, great.
So I can't talk about 1900 Park Fair because 1900 Park Fair is different now than it was when I was there.
Where is it?
So that's at Grand Floridian.
Okay.
It was great when we went. It was like Alice and Mad Hatter, and at the end the kids met Tigger. And I think there was Piglet walking around. It was a really interesting mishmash of characters.
Was this the one they opened recently with Tiana?
So it is. Yes.
Okay.
And they've got, Aladdin's there, but only sometimes, and like it's kind of a weird situation over there right now. And I don't feel comfortable commenting on what it's like over there now.
The Beast?
Because it's just changed. No, not the Beast. No.
So
the Beast doesn't really meet anywhere. He walks through.
I didn't know if you can. That was going to be one of my other questions I had you for today. Because
Okay,
I don't know why I thought the Beast was maybe there. You don't consider that a character meal if the Beast walks through.
Right.
Do you count that, or do you not count that?
And it's only at dinner. They might do it at lunch, and he like walks through.
Yeah, he does. We did lunch
and,
there, and he walked through.
Right,
I
but
wasn't
it's
even
changed.
counting
It's
it on my
changed
list.
though completely.
Okay.
So I don't even know what necessarily do, but yeah. So I'm not including 1900 Park Fair. Do I think 1900 Park Fair was great when I went? Yes. Would it have been in my top 5? Probably, just because of the variety of characters.
Sure.
But I can't include it because it's totally different now than what it was in 2019 when I went. The other ones that I have on my list have pretty much stayed the same for the most part. I also have never been to Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace is in the Magic Kingdom, and that is
right
all
by
of
the entrance to Adventureland.
it's all of your it's all the palace from the 100-acre wood. So it's Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Tigger. I think I don't think Owl ever meets, but
Eeyore maybe.
Eeyore's there, and the bunny. What?
Rabbit.
There you go. So I'm not, as you can tell, not a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. I don't really even know their names half the time. Tigger's, you can see Tigger other places too, and he's really the only one I really care about.
Tigger and Pooh are the most common around.
Yeah. So I'm not. We've never done that one. I will say that this morning before I came over here, I looked stuff up and I looked up prices too, and I was actually kind of shocked. Some of the places that you would expect to be super expensive are not as expensive as I initially had thought. And I guess it's just because I don't really pay attention to prices once I'm there because everything's expensive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're gonna do a character meal, you're gonna spend money. And I would preface it that way. I was saying, like, this is gonna be not cheap, but they're all very good, is my opinion. So I would like to just I'll start right off with my number 7.
Okay.
I know it's weird. I don't usually go number 5 and all that stuff, but number 7 is a number 7 only because it is very limited in how you can get there. It's limited in the types of meal, and the characters are very specific. And that's Storybook Dining over at Artist Point.
That's at Wilderness Lodge.
Correct.
Okay.
If you have a fan of Snow White, if you have a fan of the dwarves, if you have a fan of the Evil Queen, it's definitely worth it. It's expensive. It's $67 for an adult and $41 for a child. And remember, Disney adults start at 10, so that starts to add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The food is more upscale, and so the reason that's at 7 for me,
I remember it being fancy, right?
Yeah,
it's fancy food.
Yeah, so it's a former signature restaurant that they turned into a character meal. It's prefix. You get like an entree, like roasted chicken, prime rib, veal shank. There's some really good food, and then you have like these appetizers that are kind of more like an amuse-bouche, so very small, and everybody gets one at the table, and like you don't order from them. There's like 4 of them that come out on this pedestal. The desserts are the same way. It's very good, but it takes a very specific type of eater and diner.
What if you get a picky kid who only wants nuggets or a burger?
And that's why I'm saying that's why it's number 7.
Okay. It's not as flexible.
It's not as flexible.
Okay.
I mean, the kids stuff is good. Like it's like a grilled chicken breast, or I think they did have like a like the kids steak, which is just a sirloin steak, top sirloin or something like that. And it's
just a funny term, a kid steak.
Yeah, I mean it's just a small like 4 ounce or 3 ounce steak. It's perfect for a kid.
Good.
Okay, and it's good food. It's phenomenal food actually. But I had to put it at 7 because, like, I think about people like your family. Like,
we're limited.
Your son would not eat anything that's on that menu.
No,
like I just know he would, because there's lots of black and brown on it, and he doesn't
like anything burned.
He doesn't like anything.
No.
Well, it's not burned. It's just
it's
actually charred. You know what I mean?
Kids are particular, and
yeah.
You like what you like, and then not only the food allergy stuff, but I think the majority of my friends' kids only like certain. It's just the way kids are. They're just picky, and they like certain things.
Yeah, some kids are certainly very picky, and I'm lucky that my kids aren't as picky as most others. I mean, they're certainly particular about the food. Like, my son's very particular about what is a good chicken finger and what is not a good chicken finger. He does not feel like Disney chicken fingers are good, and I tend to agree with him because they tend to be fake chicken, or like they're not actual chicken breast that's been deep fried. It's a lot of times like just an extra large chicken nugget, which is different.
Sure.
That's compressed, compressed chicken ground up chicken. Yeah. So yeah, that's number 7 for me. And the coolest part about it though is meeting the evil queen. That's a really cool part.
Any of the video I've ever seen, whoever the cast member is,
it's crazy.
I've seen a handful of different ones. They're always pro.
Yeah.
And they always just seem like they're doing such a great job.
Yeah. I'll move on to number 6 that I've been to, and I know you haven't done this one, but I know you've talked about wanting to do this one, and that's Garden Grill.
Yeah.
The character meal over at Garden Grill in Epcot.
Yeah, we all want to do that in our family. We just, for some reason, haven't pulled the trigger on that particular one. We're interested.
This one for breakfast is $49 for an adult, $33 for kids. It's $62 for lunch and dinner for adults and $42 for kids. What I would say is that this is one of those ones. It's a family style. It's all you care to enjoy, but not a buffet. Okay. So they're going to bring you out at breakfast time, they bring out like a skillet kind of a thing, like a very large skillet that's filled with the different things. So you've got your sausage, your bacon, your Mickey waffles, your biscuits, your, potato wedge, like your home fry type stuff.
Well, it's similar to Ohana, sort of.
The characters here. So you talked last week about meeting Mickey in his sorcerer outfit.
Yeah, awesome. It was one of those bucket list ones for me.
So you're upstairs in the land pavilion at Garden Grill, and you're literally turning, like in this restaurant, it's like on a carousel, and below you is Living with the Land, and the characters are dressed up in their farming outfits.
And when you look down, you're looking into the farm and the barking dog.
Yes, yeah, that part's annoying. I hate that barking dog when you're eating there, but the food is very good. The characters there are probably the best, second best interactions I've had with characters at that meal.
Good.
It's a phenomenal experience, and you're generally going to see them more than once.
And I remember you telling me your bonus there was when you get in there early, you can have your reservation, and then you can pop over to, I know your preference is Living with the Land, but you can easily get onto Soarin' relatively quickly too, right?
Yeah,
Explain how you did that. It's kind of a hack.
It's changed a little bit. So when we first did it, you could do pre-park opening reservations. They don't really have that anymore. So what I mean is, like, you would show up at the gates. Your reservation, let's say, was for
8 o'clock.
Park opens at 9.
Yeah.
And so you're done with your meal. It's 8:45. Park hasn't even opened yet. You go downstairs. You could ride Soarin' twice before people come in.
That's cool.
They kind of don't. They don't have that anymore. That's not really not. That doesn't mean that you can't have an early reservation and get in line there before it gets busy. Because you can definitely do that. It's probably the best service I've had at one of those style of restaurants where it's all you care to enjoy restaurant where, really they're bringing you the skillet and then they leave and they, come back and check on you. At this one, like, they checked on us frequently. I think this was much better service than the similar style of service you got at Ohana. So Ohana, which is also on my list, Ohana's 5. Actually, I'll just jump right up to it.
Perfect. I can jump in on this one a little bit.
Ohana's 5. The service was better at Garden Grill. The reason that I don't put Garden Grill as high as Ohana is there's 2 reasons. One, the characters you meet at Garden Grill are your Fab 5, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're gonna
Chip and Dale. Why do I think?
Oh yeah, Chip and Dale. Sorry, not the Fab 5. So it's Mickey, Chip and Dale, and Pluto. Or Goofy. Pluto, I think.
Well, I couldn't. All I know is that last time we were there, I feel like I saw Chip.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why I brought it up.
You're right. You're 100% right. Look, the characters there, you're going to meet other places in the park. Mm-hmm. You are not meeting Lilo and Stitch anywhere other than Ohana.
Yeah, since they closed that meet and greet that was over by Alien Encounter across from Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. We did that meet and greet when my son was really young, and he loved it. And just another, we say this all the time, another thing we wish that Magic Kingdom would do, not just Magic Kingdom, anywhere in Florida, is just have the characters walking around more.
Yeah.
I just wish. Anyway, back to Ohana.
Yeah, so when you went, I want you to speak about, because I was at an allergy table too, okay? So I went with my mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. She has a nut allergy. As it turns out, a lot of the flours they use in the gluten-free stuff happens to be a nut flour.
Gotcha.
So it was very interesting because like when we told them, okay, she has a nut allergy, they were like, okay, so we got to sit you at this table, but we also have to bring you different stuff that's also different than the allergy stuff that they're bringing to gluten-free, because a lot of the gluten-free flour ends up being somehow like
almond
flour or stuff like that.
Sometimes, yeah, it depends.
And so it was just very interesting to see how that worked. But I want you to why don't you speak to the way that they treated you guys? Because I know that was pretty spectacular, right?
Yeah, we loved it. We were there during, I don't want to say during COVID, but I guess it kind of was. So the meet and greets were a little bit different. It wasn't really a meet and greet. So we saw the characters. They just kind of stood. I guess I would describe Ohana in the Polynesian, where I think it's almost circular. I'm not sure where the kitchen is. It seems like it's off to the side, but in the middle, the characters kind of stood. And they had their backs to the wall and would just kind of wave to everybody around the place. So it wasn't like we can go up and get a picture.
Yeah, you were there at a weird time.
Yeah,
yes.
It was like, oh, there's Stitch, and it was cool, and the kids were excited. But the nice thing about when we had our meal was they had awesome replacements for everything. I mean, the majority of the breakfast food we're good with already. So your meats, your eggs, potatoes, all that stuff is naturally gluten-free to begin with. But the substitutions that they do, the Mickey waffle was just a gluten-free Mickey waffle. They were great. All of us had one. They just keep bringing them and bringing them and bringing them. Now, they brought us a donut in place of crud. I can't remember.
They have like a pastry.
Yeah, they
pastry platter.
They brought a couple gluten-free donuts for us, and they were really good. It was like this, deep fried, obviously, whatever. It wasn't exactly a donut, but it was covered in like cinnamon and sugar. It was really, really, really good. The drink there was great. It was, I can't remember the name of it.
Pog juice.
Yeah, it wasn't like orange juice, but it was great. Kids liked it. So we had a really good experience, and anything that I feel like the table next to us was having, we were having a similar, if not equal, experience to anybody else who was there for that. So as far as food allergy, it's, big thumbs up. I count this one as a half character breakfast, because it wasn't like our other experience that I'll talk about later on, maybe if you put this one on your list. But yeah, it was. We'll call it we'll put an asterisk next to it for me.
Look, you experienced the meal as best you could in that particular situation,
and we had a great experience with it.
And the food hasn't changed. Like, the food is the same today as it was when you had it and as it was when I had it.
But that's a good thing,
right?
Consistency.
Oh yeah. I guess my point is, like, the only difference is, like, for me, we got to do they do this like parade where everybody not runs around. The little kids get up and they like walk around with Lilo and Stitch and like Mickey, and like then at the end you meet Pluto. And so it was a very cool experience. And I'm not a huge fan of Ohana for dinner, to be perfectly blunt. But for breakfast, I do think it's a good option. It is expensive. It's $53 for adults and $33 for kids. And the food you're getting is pretty standard fare. And because it's all you care to enjoy, but family style, it is not the same as a buffet. So the variety isn't as good. And that's really why I have it at 5 and not higher, because I do think the value of those characters, those like Lilo and Stitch, the value of them is that high.
Yeah.
And if you're staying at the Poly, you can run into Lilo and Stitch just through happenstance in the morning when they're walking to the restaurant, or maybe sometimes they do something out on that little the fake grass area just outside the ceremonial house. But yeah, number 5 for me is Ohana.
Great.
Number 4, the 4th best character meal that I have done, you also have done. This is yours as well, and that is Chef Mickey's.
Yeah.
Did you do breakfast or did you do a lunch dinner thing?
It was kind of a brunch. So
Okay.
It was breakfast, but we started off over in the Magic Kingdom and then popped out, got on the monorail, went over, had our meal, and then came back over.
And
so I'm guessing it was 10:30.
That's part of the hidden value of this place is where it's located.
Yep.
For those of you that don't know, this is in the Contemporary, and it's right in that huge concourse, the Grand Canyon Concourse.
Yep.
You're looking at Mary Blair art the whole time. You've got all this pop art all the way around the entire restaurant.
It's a great vibe.
It is. It's one of its major drawbacks, though, is it is loud.
It echoes
super
like
loud
crazy.
Yeah.
Monorails driving by.
Yeah. It's loud in there.
Yeah.
And the characters are everybody you'd want to meet if you're like a traditional Disney fan.
And they make sure, and we haven't talked about this, and I don't know if they're all this way, but I know at this particular place, they made sure that we got to have a one-on-one at least with every single character.
Oh, yeah.
Because the server would say to us, hey, have you met Pluto yet? Have you met Donald yet? And they all get a chance to come over and meet with the kids. You can take pictures with them at your table. It's spectacular. We have pictures hanging in our house from this meal. It's great.
It's generally kind of what they'll do to make sure that everything happened. They do have a script of how they go through and like a map, so to speak. And so they want to make sure that you were sat in the right time, that you got to see everybody.
It's good that they do that.
It is. I do feel like this one, the food, the reason this is higher for me than Ohana and, quite frankly, Garden Grill, is because it's a buffet and there's a ton of stuff. I mean, the food is okay. Let's call it like it is. The food is not, you're not going here for gourmet food. You're getting your standard Mickey waffles, scrambled eggs, which may or may not be real eggs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
The bacon, like just your typical breakfast buffet stuff. But they also have, like, if you want to have like a smoked salmon on a bagel, they do have that there. Yogurt bar with like your granola and your fruit. And the character interactions are pretty solid.
They are. They are great. I mean, I would agree with most of what you said. Ohana's food is better, definitely in my opinion, but the variety I think is definitely a plus, and the characters is a even bigger plus for me.
The other reason it's a plus is its location, so that way you don't necessarily, like, to me, Ohana, you almost have to be, yes, you can hop on the monorail and get over there, but like it's not the same as hopping. Like, you can walk to Chef Mickey's pretty quickly from the front gate of Magic Kingdom, and Ohana runs that breakfast, and that's it. Chef Mickey's is breakfast, lunch, dinner character. It's a bit more expensive, and by a bit I mean a lot more, considering what you get as far as the quality of food. It's $58 for an adult, $37 for a child for breakfast. Their lunch and dinner cost is $69 and $44 respectively.
That's steep.
It is very steep, and I've never done the dinner, so I can't speak on the quality of the food for the dinner, but I gotta believe it's not anything like over the top. I thought the breakfast was good. I was actually very pleasantly surprised. It was expensive. I don't feel like the value is there. If you're going for value, I don't think it's there. But
you're paying for the characters for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and you're paying for location.
Yeah, convenience. Yep.
Because like, there's something about being in that Grand Canyon concourse.
Well, and I have a feeling of one of them that's going to be higher on your list that is not easy to get to. But I know there's a lot of other pluses there. So I'm glad you're bringing this up now, because they all have, their pluses and minuses here.
Yeah, and look, if you were to ask me, like, for instance, if you said you have a picky eater who loves Disney classic characters,
this is the place.
This would be number one.
Yeah, that's why we did it.
This would be number one.
Why we did it, yeah.
If you have picky eaters who want to see, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, like they want to see those characters, you're coming here.
That's why we did it. So I guess our recommendation for listeners, although it isn't number one on your list, if you if that checks the box for your family, this is a good place to go.
Because here's the thing too. You are going to be near this place at some point.
Yeah,
because,
most likely.
Because if you're not going, if you have kids, you're
probably going to Magic Kingdom,
right? Yeah. And it's like literally a 5-minute walk, or hop on the monorail.
Either way. Yeah.
So whether you're staying at Pop Century or the All Stars, or you're staying at a deluxe resort, this is a much easier place to get to. Yes, Ohana is easier to get to, but you're getting to see Lilo and Stitch. If you have a Lilo and Stitch fan, then great. But if you want Disney classic characters and you have picky eaters, or maybe you're sick of waffles for breakfast every morning, right? this would be the place to go. And you can make it. I mean, it's all you care to enjoy. So you can make it worth the $58 or whatever it is for breakfast. You're not going to be comfortable walking around, but you can do it.
You might want to do it on your day off and not a park day if you're going to eat that much food.
Yeah. When you went, how did you feel about the gluten-free offerings?
It was fine. We had every time the server will come over and will say, my wife has a whole thing she says every time about, my son and I have celiac disease and we're gluten-free. She always has to say both because sometimes you never know with servers. So you say both the term gluten-free and celiac disease. And the server will say, or cast member, I'm not really sure what term to use for them. They go in the back and they get the chef. The chef comes out and says, you can eat this, 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 and this. If you would like gluten-free Mickey waffles, we can bring them out for you. They do that every single time. So really the options of things that have gluten in them, like rolls and buns, things like that, the chef will bring out specifically for us from the back, so they're not sitting out with other things and cross-contaminated.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So we had a great experience. We always do. If you're a new listener to the show, obviously my family members have celiac disease, and that's why we keep going back to Disney, because we always have a great experience. And knock on wood, no one's ever gotten sick, and they always treat us with respect, and we love it. So
yeah, and now they've also started to do more detailed menus, so that they don't have to pull a chef out every time to be like this, and this. You're totally safe with these things. If you're sensitive, you could eat, or like where was it gluten sensitive versus
right,
gluten...
and that's kind of what I am. I don't have celiac disease, but with it, cutting it out of my diet, like for example, I don't want to get too much off on a tangent, but just to be clear, if I'm eating chicken wings, perfect example,
right,
go Bills. If I'm eating wings and the wings are fried in the same fryer as somebody else's chicken fingers with breading in them, I won't have a problem with that.
Right, your son would.
My son would. My wife would.
Yeah.
Right, my wife would. But my daughter and I are kind of in the middle where, like, if I were to go to McDonald's to just eat a regular cheeseburger with a regular bun, I would definitely get sick. I don't know what would happen, and I don't want to know what would happen. Yeah. But that's kind of the specificity on our situation.
I mean, so they will tell you, look, these are things that could be cross-contaminated. Yeah. These are things that are definitely 100% gluten-free. Mm-hmm. And
same with nut or fish, or they have a whole list of different allergies, and they're always prepared.
They're really
always
really good with the buffets, because they don't. Yeah. And now with their allergy menus, our allergy listings, that they've gotten so detailed, they don't need to have the chef come out, except for if you have a special request or something.
And on the app too. If you go on the app and you mobile order somewhere, since it's food related, I figure we'd bring this up too. No matter what, whether you have an allergy or not, that app has gotten so good with ordering food. Everything is listed, what all the different allergies are, and you can substitute things. So anyway, highly recommend that. We talk about that on the show a lot too. What are we on 4? So 3, or do you want to go off?
We're on 4. I think we should go to the
halftime celebration here.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, for listening to us. This is November, so we're showing all our thanks, obviously. As one of our special thanks, we are offering a code to our listeners at magicmerch.art. Holiday 24.
Cool.
Holiday 24 for the holiday season of 2024. So this will be good through the end of December. It will be 10% off of any order off of magicmerch.art. And then also I wanted to say thank you to our patrons, because our patrons make this possible each and every week. You can head to www.patreon.com/DizListPod. There you can get access to new episodes early, as well as bonus content. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate you. See you after this. Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the top 3 of my favorite character meals. You have not been to any of these. I want you to ask all questions you want.
I've heard stories, but I mean, stuff always comes up where I have a question of, where is something? Because a lot of times you talk about these, and I'm not sure exactly what resort it's in or how do you get there. Is it easy to get to?
Yeah.
So I mean, I have questions for all of it. So let's jump into your number 3 so I can start hitting you with questions.
So number 3 is one that I feel is an absolute must-do for a certain group. So just like number 4, we said with Chef Mickey's, if you have kids that fit this category, this should be your number 1. If you have a child who is super into princesses and you're going for a one and done kind of thing, or you've never done it yet, Cinderella's Royal Table is an absolute must do.
Yeah. Right.
Eating inside that castle is really cool. The princesses are amazing. They really and truly make your children feel special. And I'm very specific when I say children and not daughter. I think so often we think of, it's the princesses, so it's for the girls. I will tell you, my son thought it was amazing to see these princesses come around, and it was just as magical for him.
Cool.
But certainly my daughter's reaction was a little bit different. The food is good. It is not an all you care to enjoy.
Did you do a breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
We were there for breakfast.
Okay.
This one, let me just give you some costs. Okay, sit down. Be ready.
Well, you're in Cinderella's castle.
So this is leaps and bounds the most expensive one. So I'm prefacing it with that. This breakfast is more expensive than the signature dining dinner over at Storybook Dining. So the breakfast for an adult is $74, and for a child is $45. I'll pause and leave that, and then
was Chef Mickey's $68?
Chef Mickey's was $58 for breakfast.
Okay.
Now for dinner, at Cinderella's Royal Table, that's going to set you back.
Oh, that was just breakfast.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So this would be your leaps and bounds. I'm like, well, it's not that much. Okay, hit me with it.
So for dinner, it's $88 per person and $52 for a child.
Wow.
That's why I say this is if you've never done it and you're looking to splurge, this is something to do. If you have a huge princess fan, you're going once, this might be the thing to splurge on.
Yeah.
It is expensive. The food's good. Like I had steak and eggs, and it was not like a diner steak and eggs. It was very well done. Kids had Mickey waffles, and then I forget what. I don't think they both had Mickey waffles, but like whatever. It was standard fare.
It's wild to think about that.
Yeah.
What did you say it was for a kid for breakfast?
$45.
$45.
Yeah, for Mickey
waffles. So what's the actual cost of that? Probably $4 maybe less.
The overhead though of the face characters who get paid the most of all the characters and having all those princesses.
Yeah. And it's worth it, and they're good at what they do, and you're thinking of what that location is. And
I will probably never do it again unless like. Maybe if like I had a grandchild who was a huge princess fan. Yeah. Like and we're still going. That would be.
That's probably true. The only time I will ever go there.
Yeah. And it's not. It is something that's remarkable to be like I ate inside the castle.
Yeah.
That is really cool. You meet Cinderella beforehand. Sometimes they do it after, but I think usually it's before. And then they call your family up, and you have your seating, and then you meet. They don't make promises about who you will meet. We met Rapunzel, Ariel. We met Merida, I think, was there. Jasmine, Aurora, and Snow White. No, we did not meet Merida there. So we met 5 inside and Cinderella outside. And it was really good. The characters really truly were amazing. You get this little like wand that's like supposed to be your magic wand. The food was good. It was not $74 for a breakfast good. I mean, the next 2 on my list both have better food for what I would consider to be significantly less money.
Sure.
And so, for a family of 4, saving the $80 to $100 that I could save and go to the next 2, I probably would do. But this is number 1 on the list if you have a huge princess fan.
Yeah, or if you're going once, it's kind of I have a couple different questions for you
Go
that
ahead.
I've been waiting to ask. The first one is, where's the entrance to this? Is it in the back? Is it in the hallway between? How do you get to the restaurant?
So when you're walking through the castle
Mm-hmm.
to the right, so almost exactly across from like where Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and stuff is.
Yep. Like to the right where you would go down that ramp to go to Merida.
Correct. So you're still in the covered area of the castle.
Okay.
Like it's kind of tucked off over there. You check in. I can remember waiting outside of the door there where they've got the gate that's got it looks like cast iron and like it's cross-hatched. Do you know what I mean? It looks like it's a gate.
Mm-hmm.
And taking a picture of my son, like pretending he was in prison behind that gate.
Cool.
And then the doors open and we went in. When you go in, you're in like a small vestibule and Cinderella's kind of tucked around on the side.
I think you're about to answer my second question,
Go ahead.
so I'm going to ask it now.
Go.
Is the restaurant on level 2 if level 1 is the entrance? It is?
It is. So
Okay.
level 1's the entrance, right? You meet Cinderella and you walk up this kind of spiral little staircase.
Okay.
If you can't walk, so that this isn't an accessible restaurant. I don't want to make it sound like, but if you can walk, it's amazing because they have like these stained glass windows that have
Cool.
that kind of tell the story.
Yeah, that's the way it is in Disneyland
right.
too with Princess Aurora. It's very cool.
But there is an elevator there. So if need be, so you meet Cinderella, photo pass, and then after you've done your photo pass photographer there with Cinderella, you get your family gets called. You go up these stairs, and you have 2 levels at the top. So there's like almost like you have like a sunken area. So you come in on one level.
Yep.
And then there's stairs that go down to another level that's near the windows. We were sat right near a window, which is kind of cool. They're stained glass windows, but I can imagine how cool it would be like at night with the fireworks going off.
Cool.
That'd be kind of cool. But,
Now, is the kitchen connected to it, or do you think the kitchen's on a separate floor?
I would assume the kitchen is on the top level, but it could be underneath. I don't know.
And then above it is the secret hotel room.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never stay there, but yes.
No, and listeners, it's kind of a fun little fun fact is that there is a hotel room there that only exclusive people get to stay at. It's not even something you can book. I'm not sure how they do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Listeners, if you know, or if you're a cast member, I know we have a handful of cast members that listen. Let us know a little bit more about that hotel room. How can you book it? Do you have to? Is it who you know?
Well, I don't think
do you have to have $1 million?
You can't book it, I don't think. But yeah.
We're interested in more. I am, at least. I don't know if you are or not, but I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
Not that I want to be there, but I just like knowing how that stuff works.
It's a nice place to go, that restaurant, and I think that everybody should do it once.
Mm-hmm.
But at that price point, I don't know that it's a more than once kind of thing. I would maybe do it for a dinner sometime just to see. Their dinner menu looks pretty good, but I've heard that it's kind of fallen off a little bit lately, and that's concerning when you're dropping $88 on a dinner. So
now that I know what your number 3 is, I think I can guess your 2 and your number 1 then.
Do you know what do you think number 2 is?
Tusker House.
Number 2 is Tusker House.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Tusker House is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So those of you who don't know, Tusker House is...
It's hidden. It's hard to find, I think. I found it last time I was there. I'm like, okay, Nick's talked about this enough. Where is it? And I kind of found that doorway, but explain.
So there are technically 2 entrances, but the main entrance is kind of behind Dawa Bar.
Right.
So Dawa Bar, is the like lounge almost that precedes it. Kind of like how a lot of restaurants will have a lounge or whatever. Mm-hmm. The Dawa Bar in Animal Kingdom. And then behind that, like if you're walking by where the performers are for the Dawa, out in front of the Dawa Bar, and you go into the Dawa Bar area,
it's in that covered area.
If you would keep going back,
towards Lion King.
Well, you can't really loop around there. It's like that's the only place where the restaurant is. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking where the Harambe dancers are, and then you've got Dawa Bar, if you go straight across the street through the Dawa Bar, and it's right around the corner. Mm-hmm. It's like tucked around the corner. This restaurant the food there is unique and yet approachable, and that's why it's so high for me.
Well, it's also interesting too that your number 2 is another. It's a buffet. Like normally when you think buffet, you don't think quality. But I know you've told me before, and I can't wait for you to tell the listeners that how good the food was, even for a buffet.
This is the second best buffet I've ever eaten at in my life.
That's great. That's
period.
Huge compliment.
The number 1 buffet
Mm-hmm.
is over at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and this is just a very small step down below.
Wow.
The food is remarkable and unique, and just so it's so different. The experience is so different. I have a very big hack for everybody on this one. I think I've told you this one.
Well, tell the listeners.
You need to get, when you go here, get one of the last breakfast reservations. You go to Animal Kingdom, you rope drop, you do your thing, you get a bunch of stuff done.
What would that be, like 10:15?
10:15 is the last one they take.
Okay.
You get your breakfast buffet, and then
egg, sausage, bacon, and
eggs, sausage, bacon, a whole bunch of African spiced stuff too.
Oh, great. But that's for everybody. So the kids get what they want. The more adventurous people who like spicy things, like both of us, can try out those.
Yeah, I mean, and even the African spiced stuff is approachable for children.
Good.
There's a lot of just stuff, like they have meat that's out for breakfast that is you would typically associate with a dinner, but it's not, because it's got this different. I don't know how to describe how good this place is. Mm-hmm. And then after that, like about 10:45, 10:30 maybe, but around 10:45 they start switching over. And so they start putting out the lunch foods. They no longer, when they run out of a breakfast food, that goes off and it gets replaced with the lunch food. So you can actually get the lunch buffet foods with your breakfast, which I know sounds like, well, I don't want both, but isn't that a brunch?
Yeah,
isn't that what a brunch is?
Exactly. So and I think that's great for somebody who goes there for the first time and wants to kind of try it all. That's like a perfect hack for them.
Well, and here's the deal.
Yeah.
The breakfast is $49 for an adult.
Oh, smart.
$33 for a kid.
You saving money because you're paying the breakfast price, but you're getting the food of the lunch.
The lunch price. So if you get your reservation
that's smart.
If you get your reservation at 10:45 or 11, whenever their first lunch one is,
yeah,
that reservation costs $64 for an adult. That's $15 more. And $42 for a kid. That's $9 more for the kid. It's not only is it one of those ones that's like, this is kind of a cool hack. We are like our first time there, the waitress was like, eat slow. And I was like, huh? And she's like, the lunch food's coming, eat slow. I was like, okay. So they're not even frowning on it. They're like, they know people do it. She's like, take your time. The lunch food's about to be out and you'll just get to meet the characters twice.
That's nice.
It was amazing. The characters there are great. They're dressed up in their like safari gear.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
the food is great. I've been there 4 times. I can't remember how many times I've been there. I bet because we go there so frequently when we're down there.
We have to do that next time. That's got to be on our list.
We did it even during COVID when it was family style. The food wasn't as good, but it was still really good food.
I just want to try something different.
Well, you're gonna find it.
We have our comfort things that we do every time, but the benefit of this place is someone like me who likes different food from different parts of the country, things that are spicy, love that kind of stuff. And then I have kids who are a little bit pickier, and they can get what they want, and I can be as experimental as I want to. It just sounds great.
This is this is tied for cheapest buffet on our list. Garden Grill, or not buffet, breakfast.
Yeah,
character meal on our list. Garden Grill is the same cost as Tusker House, and at Garden Grill you get what you get and you like it.
Yeah,
not here. When I tell you there's Babodi, there's like these different like crazy like there's these biscuits that they make with coconut, and so but coconut milk, so they're like
oh great.
Yeah,
I'm already interested.
Like my mouth is watering just thinking about this stuff. Like it is so good. And then when they bring out the lunch stuff, the lunch is like African spiced strip loin,
great,
or like salmon, like the theme park buffet salmon, right? That's a like
Right.
you're like, yeah, okay.
I'm not getting that at Six Flags.
Yeah. Well, but not only that, but you wouldn't eat it. You wouldn't want to eat it, right? I'm telling you right now, my daughter who loves salmon is like, there's her 2 favorite salmons she's ever had were the one at the Animal Kingdom Lodge and the one at Tusker House. She
Not the
loves
one
them.
you made for at home? Come on.
No.
Oh.
No. And I don't blame her because it's like got these crazy African spices all over.
Oh.
It is so good. The chicken is amazing. Fall off the bone rotisserie chicken that comes out with their lunch with African spices. They have soups and stews and curries and stuff like that. The desserts are phenomenal. And I know you're probably thinking, well, if you're speaking so highly about this, like how the heck do you go any better? But this is a phenomenal. Tusker House is one of those ones. If you are looking to collect all the characters in all their outfits, you've got to do Tusker House.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing, amazing, amazing meal.
Well, you have a perfect segue when it comes to characters and what they're wearing for your number one. If I'm right, your number one is?
You tell me.
Well, you have to travel over to the Riviera and go to the top floor, right?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Topolino's Terrace is the best character meal I've ever had. I was skeptical, right? Because Topolino's for me is my favorite restaurant on property.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to ruin it by going to a breakfast and then all of a sudden not liking it.
So it's a French restaurant to begin with. Is that true?
French Mediterranean, yeah.
Riviera is kind of a little bit of all. So that was a guess.
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
know.
you're not wrong. It's like a French Mediterranean type deal going on.
Mm-hmm.
This is much like Cinderella's Royal Table is a prefix, and then you pick your entree, you pick your stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Is it generally like a steak or a chicken or fish? Do you usually get those 3 choices at these places? Or
well, this is a breakfast, so you're not going to get like chicken or fish. You can get steak and eggs.
Is it only characters for breakfast? Or
It's
they all
only
day?
characters for
Okay,
breakfast.
see, that's good to know too.
Yeah.
So if someone's booking a meal there,
No.
you don't want to show up for lunch and expect to see artist Mickey or sculptor Donald or whatever they are.
No, Topolino's Terrace is a super fancy signature dining experience at night. And for breakfast, it is a super fancy signature breakfast, but with characters at a price that shocks you, in my opinion. Okay. You are at probably one of the most fancy restaurants at Disney outside of like Victoria and Albert's and like those kinds of things. This cost $52 for an adult for breakfast and $33 for a kid. Let me just tell you what's more expensive for breakfast.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Ohana is more expensive.
Right.
Okay.
For a signature dining.
Chef Mickey's is more expensive.
Wow.
Cinderella's Royal Table is more expensive. Those 3 are all more expensive than Topolino's.
Yeah.
And you are not getting... so I got steak and eggs at Cinderella's Royal Table. I got steak and eggs at Topolino's. The steak and eggs at Topolino's was hands down the best steak and eggs I've ever had.
Wow.
It had like a red wine demi-glace, and then it had the eggs. The eggs were cooked perfectly to my liking. It was good. And people are going to be like, well, but the other ones are all you care to enjoy. Like, not Cinderella's, but like Tusker House and Chef Mickey's and Ohana and Garden Grill. Those are all you care to enjoy. Well, yeah, they are. You are correct. You are going to get plenty of food. And like, unless you want that feeling of roll me down the stairs, I'm uncomfortable, which I never want that. I just end up with it because I eat so darn fast at a buffet.
I know.
Like,
no, it's
this
teacher style. We eat so fast.
Right. We have, you have 30 minutes to eat, which means you actually have 20.
Yeah.
And so we kind of shovel it in. It's like us in the military, I feel like, are the worst eaters in the world.
Our whole family does. Yeah. Because your wife's in education too, and so is mine. And so time for dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
The meals here are phenomenal, but the characters, seeing them, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I was like, oh, whatever. Like I am not the person that wants to collect all the different outfits. Their outfits and their artist outfits.
I want to collect these outfits.
So you've got the art, you've got like the painting, you've got the sculptor, you've got the poet, so Minnie, I think, is the poet. And
not that I'm doubting you, I just want to look it up because it's cool.
I think Minnie's the poet, Donald's a sculptor, Mickey, I believe, is a painter. It's just I can't speak highly enough. When you arrive, you get this basket of pastries and like muffins, and that was phenomenal.
They look so cool,
don't they? And it's just really good. I'll try to like drop some photos into this for YouTube, but like
they also have a basket. I don't know if this is in the gift shop or what, but there's a basket with plush, and you can get all 4 of the artist
characters. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
I think that's downstairs at.
Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that.
I can't see that. Okay. No. But I think it's downstairs at one of the Topolino's gift shops.
See that?
Not Topolino,
like.
sorry, Riviera gift shops.
Yeah, I'd like to have that one sitting on the shelf or in the classroom or something.
I don't know how to describe like the difference, the level. It levels up. Mm-hmm. It is just, and I feel like all of these other ones, I'm like, man, that's expensive for breakfast for what you're getting. I think my top 2 are really worth it on a food level. And I know you're probably thinking, well, steak and eggs for $52, but it's not just steak and eggs. There's like steamed asparagus, there's hollandaise, then you have this, the like I said, the platter or basket, whatever you want to call it, of like the pastries and stuff like that. My daughter had these cool like dippers that were like, they were like supposed to be like paintbrushes. Like you had your paint bucket of stuff to dip your cool waffle sticks, I guess they would be. My son, I forget exactly what he had, but I remember him like ranting about it. It was really, really good, really well done. The one thing I will say that was not great was the experience getting in. So we had the first reservation, and so they've got, let's say, 15 tables of people ready to sit, and they let you up the elevator, and the area where the elevator lets out is, I think being generous would be to say it's 15 by 10.
Jeez.
And you've got 15 families trying to stand in that area. It's not good. So I would say that it's, they need to think, because they have a huge lobby when you first go, like when you walk in to Topolino's, you're greeted by your host or hostess, whomever, and to the left is are the bathrooms, and like they have a nice little seating area over there, and to the right is where their wine cases are, and then the restaurant's over there. But when you go up early in the day, they're having like their staff meeting, like, hey, let's do this, let's rock this service, like whatever, right? And so the doors are closed off. So you come up the elevator and you're just standing there waiting for them to open the doors. And like you're
awkward.
Right, and you're supposed to show up early. Like they tell you, show up to check in like 15 to 20 minutes early, but they don't open those doors until right at opening. And to me it's like, I get why you don't, right? There's probably characters that are walking around. Yeah. There's certainly staff members getting stuff ready, but there are 15 families who have that first reservation that are standing out here with strollers, and like the elevator, a couple times the elevator doors opened up and the people were like, yeah, we'll just go back down.
No thanks.
Like they just rode it back down and rode it back up. That kept going up and down until we cleared out.
Okay.
And you know, it is what it is, but so that was a little weird. But Topolino's is definitely my number one. Do you have any other questions?
No, I'm trying to think of things that we haven't gone over that might be questions of listeners. So the Riviera Resort is the one that is essentially connected to Caribbean Beach. It's at the end of the Skyliner. So if you're somewhere near where the Skyliner is, and this is somewhere you want to go and you don't have a car rental, you can zip right over and get to a breakfast there. So as far as convenience goes, I would say it's above average for convenience for that reason, because there's a way to get. So let's say you go to Epcot. Right, you're at Epcot walking around. You have a reservation to go there, whether it's breakfast or dinner. You hop on the Skyliner, zip over there, and you can go to your meal that way. Just, I feel like at this point, let listeners know, hey, that's an easy way to get there.
Absolutely.
You don't really need to take an Uber or a Lyft. You can just use free Disney transportation, and it's probably quicker, honestly.
Yeah, I would say
that line goes pretty quick for the Skyliner most times of the day,
especially going that way in the morning, because you're not going to the park. Yeah, I would say so. You know, it's just a very, the experience there is great, and the staff members treat you the same way they do at night when it's a super signature, you know, not steakhouse, but French Mediterranean dining experience. So I would definitely say this is a certainly if you're a collect them all for the stuff you want for the outfits, you got to do this one. But if you like good food and you're not worried about the buffet, because you still get your kids, even the picky eaters, are still going to have something to eat here.
Good.
It's not like some of the other ones where, like for instance, that Storybook Dining where it's a prefix, but your kid might not have what they want to eat.
So I don't know why this popped into my head till just now, but I think it's kind of an important thing to cover when it comes to character breakfast. So the characters come to your table. I mean, I know how this works at Chef Mickey's, but I want to hear your 2 cents. So Mickey, Minnie, whoever comes up to your table we're talking about this particular meal at Topolino's, right? Mm-hmm. They come to your table. Is there somebody with them, or do you say something like, "Hello, Mickey, it's nice to meet you. Is it okay if we get a photo with you?" Where does that take place? How does that work?
So generally speaking, there's a handler with them or just kind of right near them. And you slide out of where you're sitting, because usually like Topolino's is like a mixture of some tables are like half booths, half chairs. Mm-hmm. Some tables are like, not booths, but a banquette maybe, and others are just standalone tables. So you slide out of where you're sitting, and they get your pictures with the kids. The staff members a lot of times, the cast members will actually a lot of times come around and say, if you put the kids over here, and it's gonna be easier for them to get in and out. So yeah, there is a handler with them.
And you just say, is it okay if I take a photo, and then you take a photo with your camera?
I mean,
there's no photo pass person.
A lot of times they're not even, you don't even have to ask. They're gonna like, they will like hold up their hands and do like that, and it's like, oh, Mickey wants to know if you want to take a picture. If you're wearing something artistic, or if you're like kind of not Disney bounding, but something along the lines of like, hey, this is kind of artistic, like what you're wearing. They will, interact with you in that way and not talk, but pantomime to you some of that stuff. So it's a really good experience. The characters there were great.
Yeah. I figured that's a good way to end. It popped in my head here at the end.
But it's a wonderful question.
Trying to think of what, you've done a good job explaining all of them. I think after listening to all of the experiences, you can really see that there's going to be a certain character meal that's going to fit really well with what your particular interest is, what your budget is, or what food your kids are into. So I think very extensive. I mean, it's a slightly longer episode, but I think these ones are good because it covers everything for everybody. Was there anything that we talked about, the Beauty and the Beast is, what's that one called? In the Magic Kingdom, I'm forgetting what it's called.
Be Our Guest.
Be Our Guest. It's the most obvious name now that you say it out loud. Probably wouldn't count that, even though Beast walks through.
No, I wouldn't count
what else is character adjacent that we? I don't even want to call it an honorable mention.
I mean, there are other
around.
There are other character meals. I mean, you can go to Cape May Cafe. I don't know why you would want to.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big seafood buffet person.
Sure.
Personally, because it's I don't know.
Anything else you can think of where they're around?
Not.
I'm trying to think of that too.
Crystal
really
Palace.
so.
You said Crystal
already.
Palace. I already said. I just think. Yeah, I mean, to me, you're gonna always pay for the character experience. You're gonna pay an upcharge.
Yeah.
But I think these, especially the top 2, are worth the money on the food alone. So it'll be interesting to see what our listeners think. What I would love to have them do is, if they have any questions, or if they disagree, or if they have an experience maybe at one of the other ones, to let us know so we can interact with them, and maybe they can put a comment on our posts and stuff so that people can see that.
Hollywood Studios, they need to do a Star Wars or add in the Toy Story characters to
they have Hollywood and Vine. They have a character meal over at Hollywood and Vine, but that's notoriously bad food from what I've been told.
I mean, maybe in the back corner, the actual guys from Aerosmith that aren't doing anything could come out and do meet and greets or
sign autographs.
Yeah, they could.
They'd be like the old retired athletes that go do those shows and sign autographs for
Pete
$50
Rose,
a pop.
I've seen it.
Well, Pete Rose, if you see Pete Rose now, we got a problem.
Well, not now. This was 2005.
Yeah, okay.
I saw him doing one of those.
Let me know. I don't want to run Pete Rose today.
No,
that would be a little weird.
Listeners, he is
deceased.
Yes, rest in peace, Pete.
Yes, yeah, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.